welcome everybody to the next episode of the PA Forum podcast, Stories Beyond the Desk. My name's Dan Skermer and I'm delighted today to be joined by our wonderful guest. We've got a very different take on it this time from the wonderful, and I'm going to say this in terms of your titles because I know
I'm
you
really
prefer to be
intrigued
called,
with what you're going to say.
Yes, it's Lucy Nicholls,
It is.
founder and creative director.
Yes.
Bracket CEO,
Yes.
close bracket, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, of the PS Events Group.
Yes.
Lucy, how are you?
Well, I'd love to say I'm fabulous, but I think I'm just living in my constant little whirlwind. So I think, yes, I'm fabulous, I'm fine. Heading to Germany in a few hours.
That's what I mean. So Lucy's coming today and she's literally leaving here and getting straight on a plane to Germany for IMEX for the rest of the week, which is going to be fantastic. So I'm very grateful for your time. And the reason I wanted to invite Lucy onto our podcast today is because the passion that Lucy has for the profession and also for the industry that she works in is just absolutely unreal. And I've really enjoyed working with Lucy now side by side since August last year, which has been fantastic. It's been a whirlwind, hasn't it?
It's been a positive whirlwind.
A positive whirlwind,
But
absolutely.
yes, lots.
But actually, spending time with Lucy and actually getting a real insight into her world and her mind actually has given me a really good insight into the things that Lucy can share with some of our members, particularly around the world of events. If you're a PA and you work in the world of events, then this is exactly the right podcast for you to be able to listen to, because Lucy's going to be able to download and give us a section of her brain that's absolutely amazing, and the things that we need to think about when we do think about the word event, because it's such a big, massive...
It's really broad. There's so many different genres to it, needs for it. So yeah, we can dissect and demystify and simplify.
But also, the imposters set in a little bit, because Lucy actually used to be a TV presenter. So I'm sat here on the sofa like, oh my God, fangirling.
No.
Yeah, so I think, Lucy, what I would love you to do is to share a little bit about your journey into how you got to be a founder today. I know it's really important that we share that. There's so much of where you are right now and all the learning and everything we want to share with the guests, but I think it's really important that they understand about you and your career journey so far. So tell us. Okay.
Well, I could probably talk for about 20,000 years, but we are limited in time.
Yes.
But very long story short, I started my career in events probably when I was about 6, because I used to look at my mum and dad's dinner parties in the 80s and, put a soundtrack to a Viennetta arriving or, a sense of occasion. And there's always been something about me that people would probably say, oh God, you'd love a drama. And it's not necessarily a drama, but I do love to make the most and enhance an experience on a very sensory level. So 6 years old, fast forward to after university, and I actually went into the West End and performed. I was a triple threat actress, singer, dancer, West End and Broadway, and went into television and worked all over the world in some amazing settings and did backing vocals for loads of big names. But there was still something that wasn't quite hitting the mark, and I realised I was getting much more of a buzz out of the creative side of it. So it was, then I became a resident director and tweaking, but somehow, and I still don't know how it happened, I became a little bit of a go-to when I was in the West End for fixing entertainment. And that's when the company started. I was operating as a sole trader for a number of years, and I didn't even realise I had a business. It was a passion project, and essentially, I was getting my pool of mates together and we'd create entertainment coming off stage, or, in the interval, there'd be a post-it note or my pager had gone off, because that's how long ago it was, saying, such and such a bar have called, they've got a big celebrity coming in tonight and they haven't got any live entertainment, can you do something? Like, yeah. So it quickly became a case of a few of us in different shows would always have a tux or a black dress or a something or other at hand, ready in case the phone went, and it kept going, and it kept going. And it would be a case I'd be mouthing and going to the band going, can you go to such and such a place after we've got a gig? And like, yeah, cool. And it was great, because I think once you're in that environment of being in a contract for 8 months plus, if you are creative and you've got a hunger, the idea that you've got another outlet for your creativity is really exciting. And it literally it picked up, and it was just all word of mouth. And then it'd be a case of we'd go somewhere and I'd go, oh, can we just turn your lights down a little bit? And have you thought about your entrance music? And what about your table centres? So long story short, I completely organically created a full event production company.
But what's really interesting about that, though, is the words that you use, go-to person, because many of you will be watching this and you probably are the go-to person.
Yeah.
But the go-to person, tell us about the first time when somebody asked you, this is what you were going back to, but you were doing it without even realising you were doing it.
Yeah.
So you just done a show and somebody came up to you and would say, we want an after party, or or can you arrange for us to go and do this?
Yeah, so it basically started, probably the first one was a very big celebrity who I can't name, and we still look after him and his family's things now.
Yeah.
And that was I was talking about the entertainment and started going, well, have you thought about this, this and this? And then a member of his team said, do you do that for corporate? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And because there was no difference in the concept, because really it all comes back to, and we're talking about how to demystify it and where do you start? You ask why. Because if you really know the why are we doing it? What do we want to achieve? How do we want our people to leave at the end? And that could be a conference, could be a birthday party, could be a brand activation, could be a marketing piece, it could be an internal incentive. Whatever it is, how are we needing people to feel when they leave?
Absolutely.
And how do we get them there? And then the storytelling comes in, and regardless of how you want to put it in a spreadsheet or whatever it is, if you are wanting to get from arrival A and people leaving at B, what's happening in that time?
But I think sometimes, and we'll come on to this a bit later on, you know,
in about 5 days when we finally get
we've
there.
all been there where, you know, somebody, one of the executives or a director has come out and said, right, we need to put an event on for this, and here's the date, and this is how many people, invite all these people. But very rarely you get, well, why are we doing this event?
So that's the first question.
What is the actual purpose? Like, why are we putting this event on? So a lot of people will say to me, for example, why do you run the PA Awards, the Midlands PA Awards, when there is so many award ceremonies for PAs across the UK? My answer to that is, if we don't do it here in the Midlands, who else will? And it is important that we have a platform that represents PAs, executive assistants, office managers, virtual assistants and business support professionals, because they need to have a platform of excellence. And my why as to why we do it is so crystal clear for me and for the committee members that have supported us since we started. But I can imagine many of you probably get not a very clear why, or the brief actually changes completely into something different.
Well, the brief might, but rarely the intention will.
Yeah.
And it's the intention. So if it is, we are really down on sales and we really need to boost everyone, or, you know, things are going brilliantly and we really want to incentivize, but the intention, so how you get there in the brief, that might change, but usually the intention doesn't.
Well, tell us then. So you've had the PS Events Group for how, and actually, let's just kind of all the personal bits lay it out here, because you actually work with your husband, Drew.
I do.
Yeah. So you and Drew met on a cruise ship, didn't you?
Well, I tell him what to do. He doesn't. We don't work together. I just tell him, obviously. Yes, I was a little bit of in limbo in my West End. What did I want to do? Place, and decided to go and escape the world. I'm just going to go and find myself on a cruise ship and find my husband. So, what was the question?
Yeah, so really, you met Drew, and you were both working on a cruise ship in very different roles.
Yeah.
And then you came back to the UK.
Yeah.
Drew's actually from New Zealand originally, isn't he?
Yeah. So he's like this, and I'm like this.
So what happened? Like, how did the PS Events Group start? And was Drew part of that from the very, very beginning?
No, Drew. When we came back, I then went really into West End. So I was only 22 when we met.
You're 25 now, darling.
24? Goodness.
Yes.
Now I'm 46, so it's been a long time. So went into West End doing a lot of telly then as well, and Drew went straight into telly.
Oh, right, I see.
So Drew's only been full-time with the company for about 3 years, and the reason for that really is because our youngest is autistic, and we just wanted to put more support in without having to rely on external support. And even my mum and dad, who are, you know, they're older and they've got their own lives, rudely. Joking. So we decided to reevaluate everything what we're doing.
Yeah.
So he has come in a supportive role within the business.
How has it been working with husband and wife?
So because we met working together,
Yeah.
the dynamic's always been there.
Yeah.
I think the dynamic shift is he was my boss and now I'm
Oh,
essentially his.
interesting.
He was the cruise director, I was the dance captain. We tell people it's just because he had a better cabin, and it's really true. But it's brilliant because as much as people go, oh God, I couldn't do that, we do operate in completely different ways, and he heads up all of the warehouse and all of our production styling of things. So it's almost like he is in a very separate department. So it does work, and we try and have right, we're not going to talk about work at the weekend.
That's great.
Try to, but obviously I'm obsessed about my work, so I never stop really talking about it. So I have to ask him to shoot me down. And then if he shoots me down, I'm like, whoa, why are you shooting me down?
But also, let's just take a moment to, you are a mom.
Yes.
So
Of two.
you have a founder-led business.
Yeah.
Where you are very much in there, you are in that business every single day.
Yeah.
But you're also a mom.
Yeah.
So how is that?
There's a couple of people that I follow on, influencers or people, I'm listening to I'm obsessed with podcasts at the moment. And those people who say you can have it all, it's absolute trosh. I don't believe you can. I believe you can balance, but sometimes it's this and sometimes it's this, and I have an incredible team at work. We'll talk about Claudia in a minute, is just incredible, who's the backbone to everything, but the whole team, we've got Chris and Fear and Brooklyn and Rach and Ruth, they're amazing, and everyone's very understanding of my situation. I've got a terminally ill dad who, so being a founder and being really passionate and wanting to give it everything, and as a mum and as a daughter, you want to give it everything. Yeah, it's really hard.
Well, I think what I love about this podcast, I think what I love about the reality of this is that so many of our members, I hear their stories every day. And I know there are some that are trying to care for their elderly parents. I know there are some that have got children and they might be having challenges in different areas of their lives. I know some that are going through real difficult times in balancing everything that they need to do at work, or they could have got a new boss and that relationship isn't quite where it is. I think it's about just acknowledging the fact that we are all human, and actually we are trying, like we live now in such a life that is, everybody wants everything right now, and we don't do ourselves any favours because everybody else wants everything right now. So actually, what do we do right now? And I know with you, we did a family trip in Birmingham the other week ago, and Lucy and her team won a very significant piece of business for the Saturday afterwards. And she was at this event on her phone trying to get branded loads of different branded team activities that needed to happen, staging, building what that looks like, and it was a really big event that you need to do in London at Gordon Ramsay's new restaurant, which I'm sure many of you will probably want to ask what that was like when she was there. So, you're trying to be out there, but also one of those phone calls could have been your mom, your dad, one of your sons, for example. So it could have been Drew, but you're trying to just juggle absolutely everything. So congratulations on keeping the business going while also you've got all of that. But as you say, it's not just about, and I like I always say with our community, it's not about an individual, it's about a team of people. And you work with a great team of people, don't you?
Yeah, and we are starting to expand the team. We are growing, and And that's hard because there's a lot of changes happening.
Yeah.
But I went to a big coaching event last month, and Sarah Davies was talking, and she actually, I know Sarah, and she's a brilliant mentor to have in your back pocket, and her podcast is amazing as well. Not that you should listen to that instead of this,
go
just
and
listen to it alongside.
She's amazing. I actually really like Sarah because I think she's very grounded. She's down
really
to
grounded and addresses lots of different issues around working in business and the mum guilt that comes with it, well, the parent guilt that comes with it, or the friendship guilt. It's not just about having children, it's about relationships and forsaking. We've had conversations about when you've been exhausted and you've not been able to go on a holiday and things, and it is that if you are so dedicated to your work, but I am very at peace with the fact that work for me is it's who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm actually in a place now where I'm not going to apologise for that.
No, agreed.
And especially being the more significant person in business than my husband being in the business, he's more significant parent. That's quite a different society expectation shift, which has had its challenges.
But also very refreshing to hear because, you know, traditional roles within what would appear to be very traditional roles back in the past is it's not necessarily the case anymore.
It's not, but there is still an underlying expectation in some areas.
Really? So when you go to an event, will people ask you, well, do you find that, not ask you, because that's probably the wrong word, will they look at you and automatically probably not expect you to be the founder of this amazing high-flying business, for example, because when you say that you're a mom and you're a mom of two, etc. I don't know. I'm not female, so I don't know what it's like. But I know that people will look at me, for example, and just a lot of people think and assume that I'm in a relationship, but I've been single for nearly 20 years. And the reason for that is I spent 10 years of my life working abroad. You'll know what it's like when you're...
Should we do a down the barrel appeal?
Okay.
Dan's single.
I mean, yeah, she's done dating apps as well. No, I'm joking. But then also, it's about, you know, I had to spend 10 years of my life building my career and building this community, which is where we are right now. And you've had your business for how many years?
16 years.
16 years.
Yeah.
And how old are your children?
10 and 13.
That's what I mean. So, like, for a significant period of that, you've been a mom raising 2 children.
Yeah,
being
but
a
I
wife.
wasn't even doing it full time. I went full time in COVID.
Wow.
So I actually quit telly and quit all my other things because it was almost like the sideline of slowly building a team. So, yeah, that was navigating a paid career, setting up a side hustle that was just picking up steam, and then navigating motherhood.
So was COVID a catalyst to your business then?
I think it was a really positive thing.
Wow.
Simply because, so we do a lot, as you know, a lot of consultancy work and support for other agencies and other event teams, either that exist in businesses, or we're sort of like an extra arm to different people, to different businesses, either in-house or other agencies, other production companies. And yeah, in COVID, it became very clear that with the skill set of TV, theatre and events, virtual events, yes, because we know how to communicate down a camera, how to get that information across, but still use an events format with a theatrical underlying pushing an emotion, asking the why, how do you want people to feel? So yeah, COVID was actually a really positive transition. I mean, I said the other day, it's the worst thing to say that I wish that I had my time for the world just to stop for 20 minutes, actually.
During
because
COVID.
I didn't.
Yeah.
And that's not being a martyr or anything, but I could use it as a positive time, as well as homeschooling.
But
of course,
again,
which is great.
absolutely throughout COVID, I was on furlough from my full-time job before I got made redundant, and I did 4 sessions a week online for the PA Forum. And I don't think if I'd have done that, or if I'd invested the time and been there to care for and nurture the community like I did, we wouldn't be half of where we are right now, which is amazing. But
which is a really key thing to just show that in business, it's all about relationships, and you have the
100%.
opportunity to build relationships. Because I don't for one second think we're reinventing the wheel. I'd like to think that we are at times, obviously.
Well, I was going to say occasion. There are occasions.
Occasion. No, it's not necessarily what we're doing. It's our approach on it that's very much driven by the relationships that we have.
Well, since you've been part of this community, what's it been like for you? So, and I mean, I'm not saying just because you've now met a lot of our members.
I have, yeah.
What's it been like meeting them and talking to them and the conversations that you've had? I mean, you just hosted like a massive fam trip event last week for 20 of our members to go and experience West Midlands Safari Park, who are one of your clients, for example. How has it been kind of immersing yourself into our community?
Do you know what? It's amazing because I've always massively championed the essentially unsung heroes of the businesses, because I know what my team on the sort of the supportive roles that are, as much as it's a supportive role, it's not. They are without PAs and EAs, VAs, things don't happen. So it's been amazing to have direct connection with a community that we can help as well, and then forge those relationships. And everybody's got their own little sticking bit that hopefully we've been able to add some value to.
I think it goes to show, when you were just going back to what you said about the go-to person, you can be the go-to person, but you also, as the go-to person, have your go-to people.
Yeah.
So like, sometimes you can steer the ship, you can manage the project, but you'll need a lot of different people that support that project. And you know, Adam is here today. I wouldn't be doing this podcast unless Adam said to me, I actually really think you can do this. I actually think it'll be a great way for you to be able to reach out beyond the camera and to be able to connect with your members. And I think, well, that's amazing, but I don't know where to start with a podcast. That's great.
But it's knowing the right people who do, and I think I am well aware of what I'm good at, but I'm so aware of what I'm not great at, and I love surrounding myself with people who are better than me. I get a buzz out of that.
And I think that's a really key point, is that it is understanding and appreciating. I've only learnt it probably since I started really working with Mel, is that you have to acknowledge the things that you're not good at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, because if you don't, you are going to spend so much time, and it's going to take so much of your energy to do the things that you're not good at, that you don't enjoy, when there are other people out there who are the experts. And that's absolutely brilliant, surrounding yourself with an amazing community of people. And I think that's what you've probably discovered working with us, is that we are very much, we like to work with so many different people, but each person is a specialist in their own right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not about creating a competitive, competition-led network. It's about creating a collaborative network. And I think the difference between competition and collaboration is just so stark and so different that, you know, I think your industry in particular, you might be working with a whole heap of entertainers that are some of the biggest names in the West End, for example, but there are other people who are probably going to be asking for their time as well.
Yeah.
But the only reason that you would be able to get that over the line, perhaps over somebody else, is because of the relationship that you have directly with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also just thinking outside the box on things. You know, there are other companies that do elements of what we do. I think how we're different is, a typical in the events industry, you typically have a production company and they specialise in that or that. And then you have an agency where they will curate and source everything for you. And we're a hybrid between the two, because we produce all of our own entertainment, we produce all of our own styling, we produce all of the brand and the content, we keep all of that in-house. The only thing we don't do is AV. So it's
well, tell us, because I know you're quite modest with this, in the fact that the singing waiters concept was something that you...
I was a part of the very first early days. Now, really, well, I've already said my age, haven't I? So,
singing waiters, which we had in year one of our awards, and I loved them. And I've been to weddings where they're singing waiters, and I just think I can absolutely see that drama, that theatrics, that musicality, everything kind of just
But do you not
oozes
think
out.
it's got to a point now that when you go somewhere you expect a waiter to burst into song
Wow.
and it's a bit disappointing when they don't?
No, but I
So
think
it's time to change it up
No,
a bit.
but I think to myself back then, you know, that was for me. I was like, oh my god, absolutely, our first event, we must have singing waiters, and like, you know, I didn't realise that you were part of that concept. Because it just gives people an insight into if you've been to an event and you've seen singing waiters before, how it's very much about creating the story. It's very much about what's going to happen when. How is it going to happen? Are two waiters going to start having an argument together? Is somebody going to accidentally fall over something? What's going to happen?
And it can be done so badly. I've seen it done. You're like, no. But it is, you know, but you can take that concept of surprise and do it in so many different ways now.
Well, let's talk about, because we touched on the why. So the reason I wanted a massive piece of why I wanted Lucy to come on today is, you know, to try and give our members helpful hints and tips about, you might want to be embarking on your journey as a PA, and it's your first couple of years within your role, and you think, I'd love to get into events. How can I make events more an essential part of my role? You might be a really experienced member of our community that's organised millions of events as part of your role, but actually, what's the one thing that you really want to do? How can you get involved in those? And how can you kind of take the reins on that project? Or how could you suggest that you should do a particular event around something? So we've talked about the why. So I'm talking about, here's your example. Open the door. Can you organise an event on that day? It needs to be in that location. Invite all these people. Make sure it's blocked out in the diaries. Thank you. So literally, the directors come out and they've said that to their PA or EA.
Yeah.
First of all, it's really difficult to try and get their time.
Yeah.
But I think what I've understood from you, particularly when we get some of the requests through from some of our members, is it's really important to make that time to be able to understand the why, but also what types of questions. If we were doing probing questions when you've got that event brief and all the things that you need to understand about that event, what questions would you ask?
Well, let me caveat this first of all by saying that when we have time, we will be able to put a link out, and I will curate something to support this. It's a tangible document. And equally, you know, we're a part of this community. The first thing you can do is you can always pick up the phone straight away to us and we can just go, right, ask this, this, this and this. But in short, the big stumbling block for us and for anyone doing an event is if you don't have a budget. And no one likes talking about money, but it comes down to money, because it could be, have you got a £5,000 budget, a £500,000 budget, a £5 million budget? And I think the money question is always quite tricky to go with director, especially if they go, oh, I don't know, what's it going to cost? Okay, so then you can gauge it. Well, if it costs 60,000, are we on to something? And they'll either go, yeah, or, oh, no. So in which case, then there is a budget, because your budget is what it all hangs on. It does.
But I think if you work, so I think what happens is a lot, and I like, because, you know, we offer a venue finding service as part of PA Forum. That's what we do for a lot of our members. But what we find is we find the venue, and then all the proposals coming for all the different venues, and then the proposals are presented to, and you see this a lot with all the requests that you get, they're presented to the board or the managing director or whoever it is. And then you essentially get the budget for what they think the whole event costs, because they think the day delegate rate is the whole event. But it goes back to that why, because if you're going to organise an event just on a day delegate rate at a hotel somewhere, you're not fulfilling your why.
No, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So I would say, you know, you've got the typical capped per head, if that's INCVAT, XVAT, so have the money conversation, definitely. It's how many people, where sort of radius you need this to be, are you happy to, how far are you happy for people to travel? Do you need bedrooms? Do we need to, you know, what is the concept of the day?
Yeah.
So, and we can, you know, we'll put all of this in check. So if we were to do a checklist from the set, so budget, how many people, scoop to why are we doing it? What do we need them to achieve?
Yes.
What's the typical running order of the day? Because that will really establish. Or is it a nighttime event?
Does it need to be a daytime event?
Does it even need to be?
Does it need to be a full day?
Yeah. So you can start then crunching the intention of it. Is it a death by PowerPoint? Do we maybe need to think a little bit differently about that? Because I think if we were to talk, typical day delegate conference, maybe then there's a go and get changed and there's an awards in the evening. That can be, you can work really, really cleverly with the AV that you've got in the day for the night time.
Yeah.
So I would say as soon as you can, bring in your event partner, be it that it is the venue, what are they going to, and bring them in at the early stages to get their questions as well, because that will help direct your questions.
But I think also, because just what you were saying about death by PowerPoint alone, that depends on what type of venue. You could go to a restaurant. Is it discussional, conversational, topical? Does it even need a PowerPoint presentation? If you don't need a PowerPoint presentation, you don't need a venue that's got amazing AV.
Absolutely. And there's, leaning into technology with is it a QR code, and that can link to something that everyone can read before they come, in which case all of that prep time, do you actually need your venue for as long? If you don't need the venue for as long, do you need to spend that much on food?
Yeah, exactly.
So it could be, it could be a 9 till 11, or it's a 9 till 1 and then everyone can go to somewhere else, or is this an evening piece and who needs accommodation, who doesn't? So it's getting down to the what it is. It's all about the why what needs to be
It's
achieved.
almost asking why until there's no whys left to ask.
Yes.
It's like continuously, but it's not as if Claudia did this with you, I mean, she probably does, to be fair. Like, she probably doesn't say, like, Lucy, why do you need me? Like, why do you need me to do that? Why do you need? But what I'm saying is she'll probably be like, okay, right, what's my priority? Out of all this that you've just given me, what is it that you need me to do? What, and trying to understand why that's the priority. It's the same question, isn't it? It's about what is the priority and why we're making it a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's,
but you don't mind her you wouldn't mind her questioning you.
No,
would you? That's what
because,
I mean.
as Claudia would with me, or any of the team would with me, my head's so in so many different pies as directors of the company, whoever it is that you're a PA, EA to. Chances are they'll have gone, oh, right, yeah. And they know it. You just need to know the questions to ask.
Because how many times have you put together a proposal, you've presented it back to the PA or the event manager who you've been working with, and you both understand the why and what you want to achieve, but then that proposal has gone back to the director or the decision maker or the who holds the purse strings, and it's come back as completely different. How many times does that happen?
Yeah, well, we make sure it doesn't now, because otherwise you get even so far down the line. There's just so much effort that goes into it.
From both partners.
A lot of time to really get the granular detailing right. But so it's timings.
Would you much prefer, for example, if you've built a really good relationship with a PA or an event manager, etc., at what point do you want them to bring in other people in terms of the decision makers? Because there's a lot of pressure on one person to kind of put that proposal forward, and sometimes when they see the overall cost of an event, not just the day delegate rate, but everything else that comes with it, it can almost sometimes make them not want to do the event at all. But I think,
so I would say maybe break it down, and what we've started to do now is, rather than going all gung-ho and doing everything when you might have missed the mark, is just do as stages sensor check. So in its sort of most basic form, you could do a sort of mood board and an ish cost. We're thinking this. Is this what you're thinking? Oh, well, I like this, this, and this. Great. And just maybe do it in 2 or 3 stages to go, right, this is the event, we need it signed off. So just that sensor check piece, and it could be like a mood board and a rough sort of budget-ish.
But I also think as well, it's really good to put forward 3 very different budget points and ideas.
You say
Do you think so? Or does that create
It's really time consuming.
Is it? No, sorry. I mean, So, for example, if we were, let's say, if I
Do you mean in
said-
terms of venue find?
in terms of venue find and activity, for example, or something like that. So we could be like, we could have this venue and this activity goes well with that venue. I appreciate there's more time depending on what it is, and it's this premium price, let's say. This is the middle version. This is the kind of, it's to make them see, actually they need to start thinking outside the box a lot more about what an event is. I'm talking about the directors here, where they think, you know, we just need to put people in a room, they need to talk to each other, they need to look at a PowerPoint. It's not about that. It's about, you know, how are people going to feel when they're there? Have they
It's all engagement. I think another question to ask as well, and it might be something that you do within your company, but it's how is the ROI measured? So, which comes down to the why. What is it that you're wanting to achieve? So is it the ROI is measured by the amount of people who come? Is it measured by, are you doing some analysis while you're there? Is it that in 2 or 3 months' time you hope the change to have happened in the company? So that ROI then is quite influential on what you might do in the early stages. So look at how it's going to be measured.
Have you worked on some creative ways to get feedback before?
Oh gosh, loads.
Go on, tell us.
Well, probably one of my favourite ones is when you want people to choose music at an event. That's quite cool.
Okay.
That's in its most basic form, or even piece of information. So if you go down the, dare I say, silent disco headset, and people can tune into what they want, so you can get the data from that.
What do you mean? Say like.
So if you've got different options, say that there's 3 inspirational talks that you're putting on that afternoon. Who's going to go to what? You don't want people to go into all the different podcasts. So you can monitor footfall. That's really easy. But how are you feeling right now? Choose one of these 3 pieces of music, and you get 3 different ones, and which one's tapped in. That's cool. We've done it where we've had sensors on wristbands, and we've monitored people's heart rates to see how engaged they are.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that not a bit Big Brother?
No, you obviously have to ask permission.
I was going to say.
We're not going to take your personal data.
Or depending out. No. But what I mean is like. It depends how much coffee you drink as well, because I left. I left Manchester United Football Club in an ambulance because I thought I was having a heart attack, but I'd actually drank 13 cups of coffee that day. It wasn't decaf, so you would have had a right field day monitoring my heart rate that day. But what we do, I mean, when I say feedback, I mean in terms of. So you were just saying about return on investment, how do you monitor return on investment? One of the hardest things, once you've had an amazing event, is to try and get people to feedback about it.
Yeah.
But the feedback can be the thing that makes you have the event again or even do it differently.
Yeah. So there's different ways you can do incentives. For the first 10 people who are going to be feedbacking, there's a bottle of champagne. I mean, it's not bribery, but there's incentives on that.
And is that valuable then for you?
Oh, yes.
So when somebody comes back to you with the feedback and say, do you know what, even if they've absolutely loved it, every element of you, do you see that as a challenge for you to do something completely different the next time?
Yes, because we've never repeated the same event twice. So it's, constantly moving, constantly working out. And also when we're working particularly with, with brands or with corporate, it's got to be so on point for them. What was hit wasn't, brand for me isn't just about a Pantone colour.
No.
I always say, if you're going to think about what you want and you think about your brand and how you want your experience to be, if you could sum it up with one piece of music, what would it be?
Yeah, love that. Yeah.
And that then sets the vibe.
Yeah.
But in terms of that creative feedback, it is what's going to it's incentivising people to do it. As humans, we are programmed to do things for understanding the outcome.
Now, we have had Molly from San Carlo on this before, saying that the most unusual request that she had was to try and get a polystyrene barracuda back from, I think it was somewhere in Africa, bless her, whoever her director was.
Molly.
What's the most unusual request you've ever had? Like literally where you've sat there thinking, I don't even know whether we can fulfill this or whether it's even possible. I know you might not be able to say exactly what it is.
There's a couple that I can't say immediately that have come to...
But have they come to mind? I think if you see Lucy at an event, ask her that question because I'm sure she's going to be able to kind of think of a couple of them beforehand.
We've had to fly cars in very bizarre circumstances.
Fly cars?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Have a car hanging from something that doesn't,
Oh,
is not
really?
even there.
How do you even begin to hang a car? That's
well,
crazy.
that's what the team are for.
Well, but let's talk about your close relationship with having a PA as well, for example. When did you first have a PA working with you?
Probably about 6 years ago, and it was my mate.
Your mate?
My mate, who basically realised that I was essentially drowning. So that's when I realised that I needed some more support to get into my head. And then...
how did you find that working together?
Yeah, it was great.
Did you?
It was great.
Okay.
The only reason it didn't continue is because she had a baby.
Oh, wow.
So, and then I had another amazing member of my team for 4 years who was fantastic that I actually promoted her. Well, I'm saying promoted her. I felt very selfish using her just for myself, so I allowed the business to use her, and she became head of business operations.
Interesting. So she went from her title when she first started, was it personal assistant?
It was a hybrid
Role.
Yeah.
And then because we were talking about job roles in a lot of our other episodes. So head of business
operations,
which is a role that's actually coming up quite a lot at the moment in terms of the development of PAs and executive assistants. And now you've got...
And then, so the fabulous Claudia, so she is, for all intents and purposes, our office manager, but that we're a growing company, so that will evolve
Can
very
I just
quickly.
tell you what I loved the other day when I walked in and Claudia was there?
Did she offer you a biscuit?
So Claudia... No, Claudia, the
She's a feeder.
the first time I met her, I'd probably emailed her about 38 million times, and she probably was thinking, who on earth is this person? I was doing a piece of project work with Lucy, and she was probably like, who on earth is this person that's just emailed me 38 million times? And I met Claudia and I bought her in I bought her some chocolate, didn't I, to say thank you.
Oh, and some Prosecco,
and some Prosecco, just to say thank you so much, because we all know that Dan loves being in your inbox. So I met Claudia then, but what I loved the other day is you'd asked us to do something. I think I came into the office.
I'd have asked nicely.
No, you'd asked us to do something. So you'd said, I'd come up to the office, and I think you said, can Dan use that office there? And is it possible for you to be able to set him up? And she went, already done it.
Oh, she's literally in my head. It's like, I'm going to Germany today. We had a touch base meeting on Friday. She went, right, here's your itinerary. I've done this, sorted.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, so she preempts everything. She's amazing.
What I love is everything, when I watch you and I see what you ask her to do, which is just natural, she's already done it.
Yeah.
She knows what you're going to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's testament to relationship. It's testament to how she understands you and she understands how you work. But for you must be just this sense of relief that you've had that one, that's an extra thing ticked off your box that you don't have to think about.
Yeah.
I know Lucy Brazier always says when one person breathes in, the other breathes out. And I think that's really important sometimes.
Yeah.
So to wrap up today, obviously you are now going to be in our 10th year of PA Forum, which is an absolutely massive year. And we are curating the Midlands PA Awards.
We are.
Brand new venue at the Belfry on the 5th of November,
Incredible
which
venue.
you're really used to working in. You've been in the Master Suite now a few
Many
times, haven't you?
Yeah. I know where every plug socket is.
How do you feel about these awards? Because obviously for me, this is really difficult for me because I'm so emotional about it. It's so special to me that we're here and we've arrived at this 10-year time for the network. But for you coming in and knowing that you're kind of, all the people that are going to be in the room that night, and you're going to see a lot of them obviously on our journey together through till November, to you, how do you want this event to be?
I just want it to be the most amazing celebration because everybody who's going to be there, I've been at the last 2 awards. I'm so passionate about the positioning of the community being the backbone and so often the unsung heroes, that it's an opportunity to let people shine and have the moment in the limelight, because they're used to propelling somebody else into the limelight. And I think the whole night that we're curating is going to be truly spectacular. It's going to look beautiful. It's going to sound beautiful. I don't want to give too much away. It is an incredibly elevated, stunning night where everyone should be really excited to be there and celebrating the backbone to industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lucy, it's been a pleasure. 45 minutes is not long enough.
It's flown, hasn't it? I could talk for hours.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for a lot more of our members. You know, thank you for all the support that you've given so many of them so far. We actually need to find a Michael Jackson tribute before you.
Oh, you've messaged me earlier,
I've got to message you about that.
That's
So
fine.
yeah, we need to find a Michael Jackson tribute for someone's Christmas party. Jackie, hey.
Hi, Jackie.
But yeah, but yeah, we'll get on to that. But honestly, pleasure to work with you. Can't wait to see what you come up with in November. It's going to be fantastic. But thank you so much, Lucy, and thank you so much again, everyone, for
Thank you.
watching. Take care. Thank you.